Hey guys, welcome to Bar Z. My name's Stan, and before this episode, I want to give a little shout out to the guys that made the banners for the Summer Bash. It's Bob up at Bob's Flags and Banners. He's the one that did our event banner this year. That was such a big hit, and I got a bunch of emails from people wanting to buy the bash banner after it was said and done. I roll them up and store them, but they never get displayed again. This one's only been up like 3 or 4 days. I put it up here temporarily in the shop with a bunch of magnets just to show you. It's a full 8x8. It's a beautiful banner, and Bob does such a wonderful job. So go check him out on the web. In addition to that, like I said, got a bunch of emails of people wanting to buy the bash banner. So to make it fair for everyone, I threw it up on eBay. Link below if you'd like to own your own little piece of the Summer Bash. Go check it out and bid on it if you want to. So I'll ship it anywhere. I put a shipping calculator in there for you too, so you can figure out how much it's going to cost to get it to you. It's a very long cardboard tube. All right, but let's get started. We're going to show you how to make a crate and make a pilfer-proof crate for pretty much low dollar. This shaper belongs to Tom Zelickman. He bought it at the Summer Bash from Tom Lipton. So Tom Lipton from Ox Tools doesn't own it anymore. Tom Zelickman from Inspiration Metalworks now owns this little Amco shaper. It's a tiny little guy. It's pretty cute. It's a benchtop model, so pretty cool. And we're going to start with a regular pallet. What you do first is find a pallet that suits you, and I'll show you how to build a box very economically around the thing. Just with materials from Home Depot, but we want to make a pilfer-proof crate. We don't want people reaching in there and grabbing stuff out of there on its way. So pilfering is a very real thing in the shipping industry, all right? So let's get started. Okay, so we got our skid done and ready. Cut it to size. This cost me absolutely nothing, but it'll fit the shaper just perfect. And we can lag it down to this and band it down and then build a box around it. So far my total investment is $0. Okay, well we got the machine on the skid that we shortened. And here you need to make sure all the extremities fit. Always make sure that this is within the confines of the skid you created, all your knobs and everything. And now we're ready to lag it down. Now on a machine this small, we're probably just going to use lag bolts and screw it down to these planks. If you need to, you can back it up, drop a small piece of 2x4 underneath, make sure your lag goes into that too, and sandwich your skid board to a nice heavy piece. Another option is to through bolt it with a carriage bolt and make sure your equipment is secure to the skid. If it was any larger, I'd probably do some banding. Steel strap bands and strap it down to the skid, but this thing's low profile and there's not much chance of it tipping over. Now another thing you need to do is make sure everything's immobilized. We've got a vise here that swivels, we got a clapper box that claps, we've got cords that are loose, and all that needs to get immobilized. Lock any of your ways. If you got some kind of locks, lock everything, make sure it's not going to move on you. Stuff like this, goes hammering down the road. It's in a truck and it'll sit there and going down the highway 8 hours a day for 3 days across the country. Some stuff can get really hammered. So immobilize everything, shrink wrap, lock your ways down, do whatever you need to do to immobilize the parts on the machine. All right, any kind of locks you have. And any accessories, make sure they're tied up, like these cords and things. We're just gonna take these and bundle them up and shrink wrap them right to the machine. Last thing you want to happen is this stuff to fall down in between the skids, get caught in a forklift fork and shear off the cord or yank on the cord and damage something. I mean, I know this thing isn't wired really great, but you know, you still don't want any other damage to occur. So those are a few tips on immobilizing the equipment so it doesn't hammer itself going down the road. But for this, we're going to use some lag bolts, some little 1/4-inch lag bolts. Those are pretty tiny holes just in the corners. And we're going to lag it down, and then we're going to mobilize everything and then start building a box around it. All right? Okay, well, there's a hole in the machinery base, but someone really opened it up. So this is the only one that's got this really wombus hole. Using a 3/8 lag bolt, put that in frame, and just going to stack a couple washers on it. I've already pre-drilled the hole in the skid, so we're kind of ready to get this rolling down. Just going to run my lag in just till I feel it poking through the other side, and then we're going to back it up with another, just a still short piece of 2x4 with a hole pre-drilled that's offset so it can hang out the edge of the crate, and just kind of fish around in there till we feel it drop on. And just let it all suck up together. So now our machine is as one with the skid. All right. Okay, well, we got it. The cords are all tied up and just tie wrapped to the belt guard just to keep them out of harm's way and keep them from dropping out of the bottom of the slats of the thing. Everything's immobilized. The vise is tight. I've shrink wrapped the clapper box and the rocker to keep it from bouncing around because there was no locking mechanism for those. There's no locking mechanism for this handle right here, so it's wrapped so it can't move. All the other axes had locks. I couldn't find a way to lock the ram, the actual ram itself, so that shrink wrap, I put it around the bottom to help immobilize that, keep this ram from banging around, so it'll kind of stop that from misbehaving on the way. All right. There's one bolt there that's going to need a wrench. That hole was really close to that other feature. The other ones were no problem. You can get in there with an impact and get those out. Okay, so we're ready to build a box now. We've got some other accessories to go in there, but we can throw those in after we get the 4 sides made before we put the lid on. All right. Okay, so we got our 1x cut. These are actually 1.5 by 1.5. Really cheap. They're just furring strips, real cheap over at the big box stores. And then we're getting our plywood. And honestly, guys, you can almost cut this stuff with a razor blade. You know, it's not even really fair to call it plywood. It's really just it's just glorified cardboard, but I do cut it with a skill saw with a real low blade depth. And these are our sides, and you can see it's pretty darn thin. And we're gonna, okay, so we're gonna take our long 1x's and we're gonna stack them up vertical. All we're using is some little tiny screws. These are Torx T5, real inexpensive deck type screw. Okay, well, we've got our side all done, and we've already got a couple screws started in down here. All we're going to do is screw it right to this sideboard right here. Just gonna make it flush on the bottom and flush out on this end. And just kind of get ourselves going here. See how we do. Yep, just let that draw in. Same over here. And what this is going to do is going to pinch in that little thin plywood. So that's pinning down the sheeting and pinching it in between. So, and as you can see from the outside, you can't tell whether that's this little thin stuff or big old heavy stuff, but you're not going to try to bust through and steal anything. You know, it keeps honest people honest. Okay, one more on the ends, kind of square those ends up. Let's get the other side attached and we got both sidewalls done. Okay, and as you can see, we got our sides done. And you can see there we got our sheeting actually pinched in between, so it's very secure. It's pinched in between this board and our outside 1x out here. You can see outside we got nothing. You got no screws or anything sticking out or sticking through. All you've got are the heads of those Torx down around the bottom. So people would look at it and go, how the heck am I going to get into this thing? So, and then when they see the Torx, that's another discouragement for them, you know. All we got to do now is build the two ends. We measure here, build an end for this. Measure here, and build an end for this. So it's more of the same. So let's get those built. Okay, so we got our sides done. As you can see, we got our sheeting pinched in on the ends, and there you see it blows right by. And then we use the long deck screws to get through from one of these 1x's to the other. So that's the look of the whole thing. All we're looking for now is a lid. But she's starting to look like a crate. I've got to get some other loose pieces in there. Got to get all that stuff tucked in there for Tom. But I got plenty of places to stash stuff. And I'm just going to immobilize those independently and wrap them in bubble wrap and stuff so they don't beat themselves up on the way there. It's not like traveling in a pickup truck. It doesn't ride near as smooth. It's the back of a trailer can get pretty bouncy. So this thing has to be able to take a pounding for, you know, several thousand miles. All right. Let's wrap this up. Let's get a lid on this thing. Okay, so all his parts are stashed down in there. They're wrapped in foam and shrink wrapped, and then he's got a couple of paper items, or vinyl items actually, and those are in cardboard tubes and tied to each other, and they're in there nice and firm, so they're pretty protected. I think it's time to kiss this machine goodbye. And what I've cut out here is some loose 1x's, just enough to go around the perimeter, where it's going to lay a piece of the sheeting down, and then screw those loose pieces in on top of it and secure the top. So here we go. Okay guys, there you have it. Pilfer-proof crate. It's all one big giant piece. Okay guys, well that's bringing this to a close. We've went ahead and put some banding material on it. Band. That's just to keep the crate from blowing apart. If it takes a hit, gets knocked over, someone backs into it with a forklift, these things are going to trade on an LTL. There's a good chance your load will change trucks 3-4 times, so they get moved around an awful lot. So we've got some banding on it. It can take a hit from the top, from the side, whatever, and not blow the crate apart. We're pretty secure. Our load is secure to the skid. I showed that before. You know what? You say, hey, that banding's really expensive. And the tools are too. Watch on Craigslist. The tensioning tool. This is a Signode. Look for that brand name. Nothing finer. So Signode clinch or tensioner and a Signode clinching tool. is all you need. After that, it's just banding and staples. So look on Craigslist, look on eBay, and keep that stuff around the shop. It's awfully nice to have banding material around for various things. All right. So this thing's ready to go to Tom Zlickman. Hope you enjoyed. Total invested $27 from Home Depot. The rest of it I had laying around the shop, but the rest of it's just screws and a little bit of banding material and some time. All right. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.